Fair use commentary, Ringo TV reactions. Let's go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, as we talk about the situation right here, continuing on with our investigation in the case of Patrick Xavier Clark. He is alleged to be the shooter in the situation that regards to TAKEOFF. And what we want to talk about is his attorney is pretty much speaking out regarding the fact that the judge denied the bond. And I'm trying to figure out, if this guy was caught on camera and it is said that he pulled the trigger, why he's not in prison just serving time? Like, why are we even wasting time? You see, when I look at stuff like this, what I see is a situation where it's like a smoke and mirror. Like the whole plot against TAKEOFF was a messy situation. They may have used Clark as a scapegoat, and for whatever reason, things are just not adding up. But the judge denied his bond. We talked about that the other day. And this is why when you look at the judicial system and these courts and everything, there's really no justice when you really think about it. It's like people get away with crimes every day. People don't get proper just due. It's just like things can happen and it's like, damn, do I even call the cops? It's like, cause it's like, okay, if they catch the criminals, they're gonna play this little game in court. And you have to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. Let me explain how court works. Court is a game. You must understand that. When these people go to court, right, to deal with situations, it is not because they really care about getting you justice. It's a game. It's like a sport. People, like a basketball game. They have their plays, they have the things that they do, and for whatever reason, it's one side versus the other. They got their witnesses, the other side got their witnesses, they got the testimony, and it's like a game of chess. And it's a sport, and the mediator is the judge. And after they finish that court hearing, the whole thing, everybody go out to dinner and celebrate of all the money they make. That's how court works. Court is nothing but a sport at the end of the day. A waste of time. Because remember, the bottom line is making money. Always understand that. They don't care about your justice. The bottom line in court is making money. How much you can pay your attorney, how much you can get out of this witness, and, making people feel nervous because they don't understand the law. Remember, all these attorneys, they go to law school, they get all these degrees to learn how to play the game. And a lot of times these people be family members and you don't even know. The judge be a cousin to the attorney, and the bailiff is a cousin to the lawyer, and it's like one big sport. And sometimes both attorneys know each other, meaning the opposing side, they know the other attorney on the other side. They go out to dinner after the case, right? So I want you to listen in, hear what she got to say. We're going to kind of break this thing down and, talk about the search warrant. Because again, I'm just trying to figure this thing out. Like, why, if Clark is on camera and the gun is pointed towards TAKEOFF and the trigger is pulled, why he's not in prison just serving his time? What's taking this so long? We're in 2023 and TAKEOFF still haven't gotten any justice, y'all. And Quavo is still quiet. Still effing said a word. Ain't this something? Sad, right? Just goes to show how much family really cares about you. So let's take a listen in, find out what she got to say, and break this thing down, because it's just crazy stuff. And if when you listen to her, man, it sounds like a game. It sounds like one big sport. Like they just stalling and wasting time, hoping that the public kind of calm down from the TAKEOFF situation. That's what they're really trying to hope for. They want the buzz of all the noise that's going on social media about TAKEOFF. They want it to die down so they could kind of just probably let Clark go home and then everybody go back to their normal life. But I really believe that TAKEOFF was a blood sacrifice, and it was orchestrated and planned, and they're just trying to use Clark as a scapegoat just to make the public feel like they got somebody, and they're really protecting the Prince family, because the Prince family is really guilty, and when you really think about it, it was their party. So it's just kind of funny to me that nobody's talking about Jay Prince Jr., nobody's talking about, Mike Prince, nobody's talking about, Jazz Prince. Nobody's talking about these guys rolling around the street with guns. Nobody don't. It's like, it's just being ignored. Nobody's even questioning the Prince family at all. And it kind of make you wonder, like, damn, these people are literally untouchable in the, I don't know, in the public. It's like, I don't know who's protecting them, but let's listen and hear what she got to say.
Although we respect Judge Hill, as well as his decision today, we disagree with it. And to be honest, we're very surprised by it. A couple of weeks ago, the judge laid out some conditions and requirements that he wanted the defense to meet. We believe we've reached and satisfied each one of those requirements. Specifically, he asked us to find a bail bonding company that would do immediate notification of any violations of the GPS monitoring. We did that. He asked that we provide the fee affidavit that Mr. Clark filled out in order to assess what his financial situation was. We did that. He asked that we provide the passport ID card that was not confiscated from him at the time of his arrest. We did that. We complied with every requirement that the judge asked of us, only to be told today that it would not be lowered. So yes, we are.
Now think about that. They complied with everything that the judge wanted. They did everything on their part to make sure that, they can get Clark to have a lower bail so he could get on out, which I don't know why. I mean, why do we want a murderer who's on camera doing it? Why do we want him to have a bail? Like, this doesn't make sense. This is why I tell you that the court system is a game. Because you got to think about this. You got two opposing sides, right? One side is saying, yeah, they killed this brother. The other side is trying to put the blame on Clark. But if Clark is on camera, ladies and gentlemen, if he's on camera, if the investigators said that they have him on camera with a gun in his hand, shooting TAKEOFF in the head, why are we trying to get bail? Why are we trying to bail out somebody that's a murderer so he could go out there and harm somebody else? Doesn't make any sense. But let's listen to what she got to say.
Very disappointed. We disagree, and frankly, we're very surprised.
Do you all plan on appealing that?
We plan to take every remedy available by law for Mr. Clark, because what we do believe is that it is the high-profile nature of this case that has really affected the constitutional rights of Mr. Clark.
What constitutional rights? What constitutional rights if he's a murderer? Last time I checked, when you're on camera and you're caught murdering somebody, you lost all your rights. You lost your freedom. So why isn't he serving time if he's guilty? There's no need for none of this extra spectacle stuff that they're doing. And I think they're doing this to buy themselves time.
I've been practicing 24 years.
Nobody cares how long you've been practicing. That does not make you a great attorney. You could have been practicing for 30 years. Doesn't matter to us. We want to know why Clark isn't in prison serving hard time if he is in fact the killer. Let's just stop playing games. Since y'all don't want to take down Junior, since y'all don't want to take down Lil Cam, since everybody giving Lil Cam a pass. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, how Lil Cam is not even in the news no more. Y'all ain't noticing that? Y'all ain't notice how quiet the news media is regarding Lil Cam? You see how that works? See, first they were targeting Lil Cam, but then they kind of just shift the blame over to Clark. The news is mad quiet. Lil Cam is most likely chilling somewhere right now, having a good old time. It's crazy stuff, man. Let's go.
In this county. And I can't remember a time that a bond for murder was set at $2 million. And so certainly I do understand everything that surrounds this case, but I think that there are two controlling factors that need to be considered, whether or not Mr. Clark is a danger to society.
If he killed a man, then he is a danger to society. What are you talking about? If he murdered a man, then he is a danger to society. It's just that simple.
Given the fact that he has never been truly charged with any violent offense, never been convicted of an offense, never been in trouble with the law.
Just because he never been in trouble with the law does not mean he's not capable of committing a crime. I mean, every killer, when they had their first kill, most likely wasn't convicted of any crime. So that's irrelevant to the case. You could be the kind of guy that never been in trouble with the law, and then for whatever reason, something popped off and you off somebody's head, and now they gone. See, these attorneys are playing a game. This is what I mean by it's all a sport. Their job is just to play games with the law and see how much time they can buy and how much money they can make. Remember, the longer the case go, the longer they get paid. It's just that simple. It's a game. Any of you that ever been involved in any sort of lawsuit or anything like that, when you go to an attorney, you know what I mean? They got their retainer fee, they got this, they got that. Some of them, you know, they get an hourly type rate, they get this. There's so many different things that goes into it. They're just making a bunch of money. And you're just wasting all your money. And then they playing games with you. So in the end, they get paid, you don't. And most likely some of you, you know, you've been in situations where you may have needed an attorney to get you out of a legal situation, and you end up doing time in prison, even though you hired this attorney. See, so there's really no guarantees, but the only guarantees is that both attorneys are going to get paid. Whether you go to prison or what, they're going to get their check. So it's all a game at the end of the day. Let's get back to the tape.
Any capacity, I think that says a lot that he is not a danger to society. And in fact, the judge commented on that today.
So hold up, he's not a danger to society, but the paperwork says that he had a gun in his hand, pointing at TAKEOFF, and blew his brains out. That's what it says. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, they still haven't showed us any tapes. They still haven't showed us any videos of Clark doing anything. These are the smoke and mirrors that you got to pay attention to. You understand? They didn't give us no evidence that Clark did it other than accusing him, right? So we don't know who's guilty because we don't got the tape. You understand? TMZ got that little mediocre tape that they shared all over the web, but we don't got no actual tape showing Clark committing the crime. Now, y'all all know under normal circumstances, they always provide the footage, which is going to hold the guilty party guilty. But they didn't show us nothing. So they want us to just believe. They want us to walk by faith and not by sight, pretty much. That's what they want.
And then when we talk about the only other factor that the judge felt was concerning to him was the flight risk factor. And the things that he noted that he took into consideration was in fact the passport. The fact that Mr. Clark had looked into fake tickets. Well, if we turn over both passports to the court, as we did in this case, and along with that, there is GPS monitoring that will immediately notify the court, the prosecutor, and things of that nature, we believe that we've placed together for the court circumstances that would alleviate any concerns for flight risk.
Why would anybody be wasting their time with flight risk concerns? For what? This is crazy. This man has been alleged to be the one who deleted TAKEOFF. And they're concerned with trying to prove to the judge that he's not a flight risk, that he's not going to try to up and go to Mexico. But yet they claim that he's on camera deleting TAKEOFF. I mean, if any of you were caught on camera deleting someone, you're supposed to go to prison. We don't supposed to be talking about bail and, you're a flight risk. What are we doing that for? Let's get right to the trial and let's throw the book at this dude one time. Quavo is not in no court. Quavo haven't even been around. Quavo haven't even talked about, the fact that they got Clark in custody. You haven't even seen Quavo address nothing yet. You would think that a man that is, listen, man, to all you people out there, real spit, anybody that's defending Quavo at this point, fam, y'all gotta really check y'all temperature, fam. Real spit. We in 2023, man. Everybody gotta grow up. They gotta mature and recognize that something ain't right, bro. Something ain't right. I know a lot of you guys out there, y'all been rocking with the Migos, and y'all think that Quavo and Offset ain't capable of plotting and doing dirt and making under-table deals with other people, man. But as I showed you in that other clip, in the other video that we did, man, you saw your boy Quavo hanging out with Diddy, man. So you already done know he already sold out. You know what I mean? He out there with Diddy, on the yacht, bringing in the new year, but he ain't talking about Clark. He ain't talking about, who really did it, who shot his nephew. He ain't even talking about it, man. He don't care. He's glad TAKEOFF is gone. I'm telling you straight up and down, Quavo is happy. He's happy and excited that TAKEOFF is gone. As cold as that sound. Some of y'all be too emotional to understand how serious these things are. There's people out there, man, that be your family, bro. And they want you gone, bro. They don't like the fact that you are alive. You being alive intimidate them. You being alive make them feel uncomfortable. You being alive is sort of like a hindrance from them getting to the next level. So when you understand the music business and you realize these contracts, TAKEOFF was the head guy, fam. TAKEOFF was the head guy in charge, man. Quavo couldn't do nothing unless, that was okayed by, by TAKEOFF. Quavo couldn't make no moves, business-wise. This is why Offset got up on out of there. Because he couldn't deal with it. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it's your boy TAKEOFF that put these two dudes on. He taught them how to rap. He taught them how to tie their shoes, and this is how they repaid him. They took him out. And I know a lot of people, they don't want to believe that because y'all blind and, you really have all this trust in people. I don't trust nobody. I don't put it over on nobody. Everybody is capable of lining somebody up. Everybody is capable of lining somebody up. It just takes the right circumstances. And, it is what it is, man. It's always the people that is closest to you that's going to try to line you up because they know everything about you, man. This is why you got to, stay quiet. Stop telling everybody all your business. and just lay low, man, because these people out here, man, they dirty, fam. They crazy out here.
So it just leaves us puzzled. What other factors are there other than the high profile nature of this case that would cause the judge not to reduce it to something that is reasonable? And I would submit that even a $300,000 bond, which is what we ask for, is substantial in nature for any average citizen.
$300,000 bond is what they were seeking. And the judge denied it. And it's good that the judge denied it. That's a good thing that the judge did. Because my point is, the paperwork says that Clark was the one shooting Takeoff. So why are we giving him a $300K bond to put him back out in the streets? Let's just get on with the trial. Close the case. And here's another factor. Because, there's a lot of speculation that, Clark is the fall guy and, he's just the one they're using to take the rap. Well, if that's the case, then why Clark ain't talking about who did it? Talk to me about that. If he's the fall guy and he's innocent, why are we wasting our time with all this nonsense? Why don't he just tell his attorney, look, I didn't do it. The one who did it was this guy and that guy. And these are the ones that did it. And they told me this and they told me that. Why he ain't just coming out the closet and just speaking facts? Come on, let's stop playing. This is why I told you the whole court process is like one big sport. It's all for entertainment. When you really think about it, it's very dramatic. It's just like when you look at the what is this guy name, man? The Gunna situation, the court case with the whole Gunna, the Young Thug and all these other guys. And you see how the court case has been dragging along and it's like one big movie, everybody tuning in. It's a sport, ladies and gentlemen. It's a sport. That's all it is. It's all dramatized, to entertain you. These guys have already done sold their soul. That's why you see everybody snitching, everybody taking plea deals, throwing each other under the bus. You really finding out the ins and outs on how the rap game really is. That a lot of these guys that be talking about how hood they are, how they from the streets, they in the gangs and all this other stuff. A lot of these guys, man, when they get in court, man, and they start realizing they're going to do heavy time, they all start singing. They become R&B singers. But it's all one big sport.
And there has not been one iota of direct evidence to suggest that Mr. Clark and his family and their financial situation is anything other than average. And so it just begs the question, what is really controlling the issues here? And so again, we plan to take the remedies available to Mr. Clark by filing an appeal with the necessary higher court for them to take a look at everything that is going on and what went into this decision.
The judge also commented on,
people be giving mob ties so much credit, like these guys are so damn gangster that if Clark was to talk, he's not going to be able to live nowhere. Don't you realize that if Clark get deleted anytime soon, mob ties and everybody would be implicated in some sort of murder? Do anybody understand English and understand basic stuff? Like, seriously. Do you understand that when you have an attorney, all of these type of talks have already been discussed behind closed doors regarding stuff like this? And the attorneys will literally make their client understand that none of these people will be able to touch you because we're going to take the necessary steps to make sure that if anything was to happen to you, all these key players will be investigated for your murder. You have to understand how this thing works. My point is, if Clark is innocent and he ain't do nothing wrong, then he should be already done talking about exactly what took place. That way we could stop playing court games and court sports and court gymnastics, because all they're doing is just entertaining the people at this point. That's all they're doing. They're just keeping us confused, constantly thinking about what's happening next. When is this young brother gonna get justice? You know, these are the things that we're thinking about right now. Like, when is Takeoff going to get justice? I mean, we in January 2023. This is still going on. Like, what's happening here? You know, you can't be so afraid to speak the truth that you're worrying for your life. That means you're a coward. You know what I mean? If Mob Ties and these clowns is guilty, and we know they are because it was his party, then why would Clark be afraid to share the truth on what's going on? Why would you be afraid? You understand? Like, you mean to tell me you're more afraid of Mob Ties rather than, you know, speaking the truth so that you can avoid this prison sentence that you may end up getting? You're more concerned about your life than justice. So you're going to go down for the fall, right? So let me get this straight. So you're the fall guy, but your attorney is trying to get a bond for you. If you're the fall guy, just stay in jail and take the fall. This is not making any sense. Again, ladies and gentlemen, here on Ringo TV Reactions, we are 100% logical. If Patrick Clark is the fall guy, right? His attorney wouldn't be wasting time trying to get him out on bond. She'll just leave him there so he could rot. And then they'll just go to trial so he could take the fall. If he got paid under the table to take the fall, let's just get on with the case. Go to prison, serve your time, and be quiet. We don't need your attorney to be trying to get a bond lowered for you. For what? You're going to be going to prison anyway, right? So what's the point? So when you look at this situation, is he the fall guy? It's not making much sense at this point. Logically speaking, as a fall guy, your attorney would not be trying to get you out on bond. They'll be trying to put you in prison as quick as possible, right? So that we can wrap the case up. That's a fall guy. You understand? This is a circus show where they're just wasting everybody's time. We want justice for Takeoff. We need somebody to take this rap, and we need everybody involved to take the rap. So if Clark is not the shooter and he believes he's innocent and he was right there, why he's not talking about that? See? So what's really going on? If he's the shooter, put him in prison and end the nonsense already. You know? Was Migo Bands the guy that allegedly killed Takeoff and they're just protecting him? Did Lil Cam do it? Because this is one confusing situation, man. Show us the video. Show us what happened. Listen, we the people, we got eyes. We could look at a video and we could tell who shot who. Most of us, you know what I'm saying, we grew up in the hood. We know exactly what's going on. As soon as we look at the videotape and we see the hands and we see the guns being raised, we know who shot Takeoff automatically. So just show us the video and stop the nonsense. Seriously. They just playing games with us, fam. They know what happened. They just covering it up.
Tony of some sort, he was kind of alluding to, he believes that there is some kind of funding source out there somewhere. Is that sufficient enough for you?
It's not sufficient enough for me, but apparently it was sufficient enough for the court. And again, we respect Judge Hill's decision. However, who is this Uncle Tony? Why hasn't the prosecutor brought this person into court? This is just a facade, again, that does not truly exist.
I don't think anything exists at this point. I don't think none of these attorneys exist. I think this is just one big game that they're playing. Why are we talking about some Uncle so-and-so and all this other stuff? Let's get down to the case. If Clark is guilty, put him in prison so that Takeoff can get his justice. Why are we dragging this case? For what? If y'all got all the evidence that he committed the crime, why this is taking so long? Like, this is just, man, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what they're doing? Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to tell you exactly what they're doing. I need to make sure that I got your ear and you want to really see what's going on here. You want to know what they're trying to do? I'm going to tell you. They are making you get pissed off to the point where you just say, listen, man, forget about this case. I'm done with all this Takeoff stuff. I'm done. I don't really care. I'm going back to my normal life. I could care less about all of this. What's new, Ringo? Anything new, Ringo? You know, I don't want to hear no more about this Takeoff situation because, you know what I'm saying, they just playing games. Who cares who did it? It is what it is. He's gone. Let's just move on. That's what they're doing. They are literally draining you. You understand? They are literally getting you to the point where you just get so fed up with this case. You're just like, look, enough is enough. I don't even want to hear about Takeoff, you know, RIP, but hey, it is what it is. And then they're going to erase everything. You're just not going to hear about it no more. Just like you're not hearing about Lil Cam. Lil Cam is not in the news anymore. Y'all don't notice that? He's not in the news anymore. You see? And a lot of people on social media stopped talking about Lil Cam. Are y'all peeping the game? This is what's going on, y'all. I'm telling you, man, it's one big game.
There is no evidence to suggest that there is an Uncle Tony with a boatload of money out there willing to put behind Mr. Clark and his escape. And so I think innuendos and statements by the prosecutor should not be considered evidence. What should be considered evidence and what the Constitution demands that what should be considered as evidence is testimony before a court or evidence.
See, again, ladies and gentlemen, court is a sport. The prosecutor, the attorney for Clark, all of them are playing the game. And they're all getting paid. It's all entertainment at the end of the day.
There was no testimony by any witness that there is a Mr. Tony or Uncle Tony that exists with money that he intends to fund Mr. Clark's, flee from the jurisdiction.
So she's basically saying that this person don't exist, but other people are saying he do. Well, who's telling the truth if these are supposed to be attorneys? You see what I mean? Ladies and gentlemen, this is why they call them liars. Not lawyers, liars. These are liars. I don't trust liars. And that's what they get paid to. They get paid to lie. You understand? Lawyers are liars. Their job is to lie as much as they can to see if they can get you as much money or to put innocent people behind bars. That's their job. Period. Period. You know, it doesn't make no sense why an attorney would become the representation for a man that's on camera killing people. It doesn't make no sense. Like, why would you even take the case for a man if he's on camera committing the crime? Why would you even do that? Why would you do that? It makes no sense. He's guilty. So you trying to get a guilty man free. What does that say about the integrity of the attorney? It's all about money, ladies and gentlemen. They don't care nothing about who win or lose or justice for Takeoff. Nobody cares. I'm just being honest with you, fam. The courts do not care in this situation. This is why when everything was popping off, I made everybody understand, y'all got to go out there and fight. Y'all got to protest. Y'all got to do this. Y'all got to make noise. I told you, the power is in your hands. Y'all keep putting the power in these attorneys' hands and these judges' hands. The power is with the people. If y'all would have went out there to that bowling alley and started, raising your voices, man, and shutting down the streets, blocking traffic and doing all sorts of stuff, man, it would have got headline news, man, and they would have had to release the video footage. But it's too late. They're not going to give us that footage, so they're going to play games with us now. That's what they're going to do right now. They're going to play a bunch of games and they're going to waste everybody's time. And this is what's going on right now. Let's go.
I think we put on evidence to suggest the actual contrary to that. And that is he canceled his trip to Mexico. If he truly wanted to flee, he would be gone.
He would have been gone. But why are we talking about that? Why are we talking about if he wanted to flee, he would have been gone? Some criminals are dumb. They'll stay by. You understand? Why are you defending a guy that's on video allegedly taking somebody out?
Had a ticket. He could have left. In addition to that, we brought in a witness that says he was looking at leasing an apartment after the incident occurred.
She said that there was a witness that they brought in that claimed he was planning on leasing an apartment. Really? So if he was planning on leasing an apartment, that means he was staying by somebody else's house, which means dude is a bum. You see that? So you mean to tell me this man is a DJ? They claim that he was some owner of some club, but he's planning on leasing an apartment after the Takeoff situation. So he didn't have his own spot, right? So he didn't have nothing, right? He didn't have his own house. He wasn't doing nothing. He was too busy living with somebody else. But he was a DJ and had a business and all this other stuff and had a truck that he was paying for. But he had no place to live, right? That's what y'all want us to believe, right? Okay.
And so I think that speaks volumes as to whether or not Mr. Clark really intends to flee the jurisdiction. So to answer your question, no, I don't think it's sufficient evidence.
They're talking about fleeing the jurisdiction. What about justice for Takeoff? What about that? What about proving that Clark wasn't the shooter? I don't think y'all realize this. They're literally keeping your attention on other things rather than focusing on what is important. Proving that he didn't murder Takeoff. They're not even proving that. They're keeping our minds focused on if he's going to flee to Mexico or whatever. Nobody cares about that. What I want to know is, did he shoot him? Where's the video? Show it to the public and let's stop playing this nonsense as though y'all got video. I don't believe there's no video. I don't believe there's no video in that bowling alley. I don't believe none of these attorneys got videos because they're liars. You understand? Their job is to just play this game on the public stage as if though they got some sort of case. It's crazy, man.
Do you think the judge changed his mind? Because in the earlier hearings, it sounded like what you provided is what he asked for.
Yeah, you provided what he asked for and he still denied the bond. But what does this have to do with justice for Takeoff? He still ain't getting no justice. This is crazy.
And now that he has it, he's not reducing the bond. So did he change his mind or did he not get what he wanted? What do you think about that?
There could be no other explanation other than the judge has changed his mind.
Who cares about all of this nonsense with the judge changing his mind? Did your client execute Takeoff? Yes or no? I tell you, man, court is one big game, y'all.
I think everyone heard what the requirements were in the previous hearing. He specifically asked us to do certain things. We did everything that he asked us to do.
Well, if you did that, why you were denied bond? That just proved that the judge is also a liar. Because if the judge gave you certain things to do and you fulfill the objective of providing what the judge wanted and he still denied bond, that just proved the judge is a liar and the attorneys are liars.
We even brought the GPS monitoring company into court.
Who cares about a GPS monitoring company? Did your client delete Takeoff? Isn't that what y'all supposed to be proving? Yo, I'm telling you, man, this is crazy, y'all.
To testify, to tell them and to tell the court, we can do this.
They testifying over GPS devices rather than testifying on whether or not Clark is the shooter. Isn't this amazing?
We can do immediate notification. The court even stated in open court that they trust this bonding company. And so, to be honest, we're just really surprised. But the fight is not over.
All these taxpayer dollars to just waste on this nonsense.
We do believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that when the time comes, we will be able to show Mr. Clark's innocence.
So he's innocent. So you're saying that he's innocent, but yet we have the paperwork, right? We have the paperwork right here, right? Okay, now, the attorney for Clark is saying that, he's innocent, right? But the paperwork says otherwise. So what's really going on here? It talks about how a lab report created by firearms examiner R. Hocano of the Houston Forensic Science, Center, which which stated that all nine of the 40 caliber casings had been fired from a single weapon, and that the 9mm casing from a different weapon. The video shows that a large black male identified as Willie Bland, who you may know as Migo Bands, right, was one of the men firing the gun. However, right, the trajectory taken by any bullet fired from his location at the time of any given discharge was not consistent with the injuries sustained by Kirshnick Ball. So basically what they're saying is the gun that Willie Bland, aka Migo Bands, was shooting, that it's not consistent with the injuries sustained by TAKEOFF, which means they're saying that Migo Bands didn't shoot TAKEOFF, right? Given Ball's body positioning throughout the duration of the gunfire. It goes on and it talks about a black male later identified as Clark, right? Patrick Clark, right? It got his date of birth right there, whom pretty much had previously developed as a possible suspect, all right? Now, I don't know why they saying possible suspect if they claim they got him on camera, right? So it goes on and it says possible suspect pulled a gun. Now, this is what they're saying now, that he pulled a gun and fired multiple rounds in the direction of the complainant seconds before the complainant collapsed to the ground. Now, notice what it says. The video does not show any other individual shooting a firearm or positioning their bodies to shoot a firearm. Arm raised in firing position from the same direction from which Clark was shooting. On the video, notice what they keep saying. On the video, Clark can be seen discharging the firearm several times. Now, notice this, ladies and gentlemen. The paperwork clearly says that on the video, Clark can be seen discharging the firearm several times. Multiple muzzle flashes are visible. So they got video that is showing this, but yet his attorney is claiming that he's innocent. Let that make sense. If Clark is innocent, why don't they show the public the video? Because there's no video. There's no video, fam. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no video. At this point, I don't believe there's a video. If one pops up, then hey, it is what it is. But as far as I'm concerned, there is no video. There's no video. Because the paperwork says on the video, Clark can be seen discharging the firearm several times. Multiple muzzle flashes are visible. So they got video with muzzle flashes, right? Clark then fled on foot. Notice what they're saying, because they claim they got this video. Clark then fled on foot now. Clark fled on foot around the nearby House of Blues, where he was captured on closer video surveillance, right? Clark then returned briefly to the bowling alley. Now notice this, ladies and gentlemen. This is why your boy Quavo is involved, because Quavo had to see Clark gun down his nephew. And it says in the paperwork that Clark fled around the House of Blues area, right? We all talked about this in previous live streams where he was captured on surveillance camera again in a closer video feed. And it says that Clark then returned briefly back to the bowling alley. So he walked right back to the bowling alley with the gun, and your boy Quavo seen him. And your boy Quavo never went to the police. And your boy Quavo never said nothing on IG. Your boy Quavo is in hiding. Why? Why? Because your boy Quavo is a coward. That's right. You understand? And I can publicly say that, very clear as day, because the paperwork says that Clark returned briefly back to the bowling alley. So you mean to tell me a man deletes your nephew in cold blood, walks back to the bowling alley, and you don't got nothing to say. And up to now, Quavo haven't been interviewed by no news media. Notice this. Notice this. Notice this, y'all. No news media has interviewed Quavo up to now. Have you noticed that? You would think that the news media would be thirsty. Not only that, think about this. TMZ haven't even interviewed Quavo yet. Now you know something's wrong, y'all. Listen, if you've been following my content, fam, I'm one of the most thorough in these YouTube streets when it comes to this particular case because I make the most sense. TMZ is thirsty always to talk to people. They haven't even made not one interview with Quavo. You know what I mean? You got prominent YouTube channels where hip hop artists go to, like Vlad TV. Where's Vlad TV to interview Quavo? Where is it? Where is it? You don't see none. You see what I mean? Why? Because your boy Quavo is involved. I told y'all already, but y'all didn't want to believe me. Now again, looking back at the paperwork, it said that Clark, and I hope that you can see it on the screen and you're reading along. It says Clark then returned briefly to the bowling alley. So that means he had to walk right past Quavo. So if Clark is the gunman and he took out TAKEOFF because of some beef, because of Quavo arguing, why Clark didn't use the same gun, right, to take out Quavo? Why he ain't finished the job? Come on. Now, there's only one reason why he ain't finished the job. Because it was a plot against TAKEOFF. And Quavo was involved. Period. There's no other way around this. Why would the shooter spare Quavo's life when Quavo was the one arguing with these brothers? It was not TAKEOFF. So why is Quavo being spared by these murderers? And why Migo Bands didn't light up Clark if he was standing right there and saw him gun down TAKEOFF? Why? Because your boy Migo Bands is involved too. I'm telling you, y'all. It's right there in the paperwork, y'all. So it goes on and it says that Clark then returned briefly, right? He returned briefly to the bowling alley where he was again, notice again, captured on interior surveillance. Now notice that, ladies and gentlemen, interior surveillance. So the camera feed from inside the bowling alley caught Clark coming back inside. So Quavo saw who did it. Quavo know who did it because he's involved. I already told y'all. Quavo was down with mob ties. Y'all think this is a game. I already done told y'all. Y'all looking at me like I'm crazy. He is down with mob ties, and that's why he not saying nothing, bruh. Telling you, bruh. It was all one big setup, fam. I don't care what nobody say. I'm going to always speak on it, fam. You know what I mean? I'm going to hold everybody accountable. So now look what it says, y'all. It says that he pretty much returned back to the bowling alley where he was again captured on interior surveillance before fleeing the scene. Surveillance from inside the bowling alley, right, showed that he was carrying a semi-automatic handgun when he went back inside. So this brother walked back to the bowling alley with the gun in hand. So everybody that was there, that is in hiding, nobody ain't saying nothing, all of those people saw Clark allegedly do it based on the paperwork. You understand? So he had a smoking gun that was very hot in his hand back into the bowling alley. So everybody in the bowling alley that was in there running for cover, they all seen Clark go back in there. And that's why you saw your boy Prince Jr. go up in there real quick. Why? Because he had to go up in there and find out what's going on by telling, yo, Clark, you got to get up on out of here. You know what I mean? So even J. Prince Jr. knew what went down, but why the police ain't investigating him? Why? See, all I'm doing is bringing out the facts, bruh. That's all I'm doing. I'm just bringing out the facts. And I don't even have to say allegedly, because it's very clear. The paperwork clearly says that your boy Clark walked back into the bowling alley. And we all know there is footage online where you see Junior walk right back into the bowling alley very quickly. Why? Because he knew that your boy Clark already done walked back in there. Put it all together. He ain't go back in there to hide. He went back in there to tell him, yo, you got to get up on out of here, bro. You got to get up on out of here. You can't be up in here. He most likely was the one telling him he got to leave. But why the surveillance ain't showing him talking to your boy, J. Prince Jr.? Why? Why nobody's talking about that? Because they trying to keep mob ties out of it. They trying to keep the Prince family out of it. But see, we got the paperwork right in front of us. So why is this attorney trying to get an alleged murderer out of prison or out of the situation so he could be out on bond? It makes no sense. So now it says he had a semi-automatic handgun when he went back inside, right? It says during the actual shooting, Clark was holding a wine bottle in one hand while he discharged the firearm with the other. Immediately after the shooting, Clark ran over by the House of Blues, right, where he set the wine bottle down and never came back for it. That's how they were able to get the wine bottle, right? Now, it goes on and it says the aforementioned bottle was collected into evidence during the initial scene investigation, right, and made requests to have it processed for latent fingerprints. Later received a lab report completed by HFSC latent print examiner HVU or whatever, which stated that a fingerprint matching that of Patrick Clark had been lifted on the wine bottle. So they got the prints right off the wine bottle, but what's interesting is they're talking about this wine bottle, but they don't talk about any prints from a gun. See, these are all the smoke and mirrors that you got to pay attention to. Why would y'all be worried about lifting prints off of a wine bottle if you clearly see him have a gun? Why? Because they don't have possession of the gun. They only have, listen, they only have possession of the shell casings, which come back to a .40 caliber weapon. That is what they have, fam. Listen, I am just doing commentary and criticism, and I'm able to put this puzzle together, y'all. They never found a gun. You understand? That is why they lift the fingerprints from the bottle, because on surveillance, it was seen that he had the bottle in hand. So because they don't have the gun, they had no other choice but to get the fingerprints from the bottle. This is how they're tying him to the shooting. This is what's going on. He got rid of the gun. But the question is who he gave the gun to. He probably allegedly gave the gun to mob ties. Do you see that? Are y'all putting it together? You see that? Probably gave the gun to them. And they probably told him, look, lay low, do what you gotta do. Hey, it is what it is. We're gonna try to take care of you, get you on the right track. So now it goes on, it talks about how additionally has been compared to high quality surveillance video. Now notice what they said, fam. Notice that it talks about the bottle, it talks about the prints, but then it says additionally, right, has compared to high quality surveillance video recording from inside the bowling alley. So these people got video footage inside the bowling alley and video footage outside the bowling alley, but they haven't showed us anything, right? And it goes on and says bowling alley to known picture of Patrick Clark, and has confirmed that it is the same person. Are y'all putting this together? Now, let's look at some more details before we get back into this. Matter of fact, we're going to pause it right there, and we're going to go back to the news report. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the news report, hear what the lawyer had to say. Let's go. Oh, shit. I done started it over again. Hold on a second. I got to find my place again. Hold on.
As you can imagine, although we respect Judge an apartment after the incident occurred. And so I think that speaks volumes as to whether or not even stated in open court that they trust this bonding company. And so, to be honest, we're just really surprised.
We're just going to let it play from here because I know it was somewhere around here.
But the fight is not over. We do believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that when the time comes, we will be able to show Mr. Clark's innocence in this. And I think something has been lost with all the hype and all the tragedy that's involved in this offense, and that Mr. Clark is presumed innocent. I think we forget about that. And then we forget about that there is a constitution that no matter who the complainant is, should protect the defendants. And it's just causing me a little concern when it comes to those issues because of the high profile nature of this case.
Ma'am, Jason Wood with KPRC. Wanted to ask, you brought this up, innocence. Why do you believe that Clark is innocent?
Why do you believe Clark is innocent? Is what the reporter is asking. Why do you believe Clark is innocent? Let's find out what she got to say.
I believe that Clark is innocent the same reason the prosecutors believe that he's not.
That doesn't make no sense. That doesn't make no sense at all. She's using a play on words, tit for tat. She's basically saying she believes he's innocent the same way that the prosecutors believe he's not. That does not answer the question. You understand what I'm saying? That does not answer the question. A good way to answer that question would be because the surveillance video doesn't show him killing anyone. That's why. He didn't do it. He's being framed. But you're not hearing those kind of words because this is a circus, y'all. None of this is real.
I have reviewed the video.
She says she reviewed the video. Okay, you reviewed the video and what?
In this case.
Okay.
My team has reviewed the video.
Okay, so you reviewed the video. So she's saying that she reviewed the video. But ladies and gentlemen, I just showed y'all the paperwork. I just showed y'all the paperwork that talks about the video. You understand? I'm showing you the paperwork which clearly states what the video showed. She says she reviewed the video.
In this case.
Okay.
And when the time is right, we believe we have sufficient evidence.
What evidence? The video, based on the paperwork, says that your client took out TAKEOFF and came back to the bowling alley with a gun in his hand. So how do you explain that away?
Prove his innocence.
Do you see how court is a game, y'all? Do you see how she never answered the question? Do you see how she dodged and danced around the question, giving you no answers, right? They lie. That's what lawyers do. They lie right to your face. This is what they do. You understand? They're professional liars. They get college degrees on how to professionally lie.
And the judge also mentioned that there's still a lot more that you need, a lot more that the prosecutors need. How is that process as far as getting evidence going?
Well, as you can imagine, right now it's kind of been stifled because we've been dealing with this bond issue and the holidays.
Notice they're worried about the holidays and bond issues, but they're not worried about, did this man actually commit the crime? Are y'all seeing the smoke and mirrors? It's a circus, y'all. It's a circus. These people are playing games with us, fam.
And so put all those factors together. Right now, we've been focusing on trying to get Mr. Clark a reasonable bond, but we intend to, hit the ground running next week and move forward with the actual meritorious claims that we believe exist for Mr. Clark and his defense.
The judge also made a point to say in the hearing today that the $2 million bond originally said likely violates your client's constitutional right, but the $1 million doesn't necessarily do that. What's the difference in those two amounts?
Well, to be honest, that's just our issue. If the judge feels a $2 million bond is unconstitutional because there's no one that could make it in this court, under that same premise, a $1 million bond basically has the same effect. There was a licensed bondsman who's been in business for 20 years or over 20 years who stated there isn't a realistic bonding company that would post bond for this family and the resources they have available at $1 million. So in essence, the consequence is the same. So we contend that even a $1 million bond is unconstitutional.
None of this stuff is making any sense, y'all. None of it's making sense. You can't see that they're just playing? You can't see that nobody's really dealing with the facts? They're worried about bonds and this and that and how much the bond is, 2 million, 1 million, 300,000. Nobody cares about this. She's supposed to be fighting for her client's innocence. This is crazy stuff, y'all.
In this particular case.
You talk about the high-profile nature. Do you think a lot of that is influencing the judge? He doesn't want to lower the bail, he can get out, and then have the talk of, oh, they let this guy out. Basically, he doesn't want to be the judge attached to the person who allowed Mr. Clark out of jail. It sounds like you feel like it's played a role in this decision.
I definitely think that it's played a role. I have a lot of respect for Judge Hill, but he's a human being too. And so I believe that there are a lot of factors that went into this consideration, into this decision. And I think just to be frank, I think the high profile nature of it and all the media attention that it's getting had a lot to do with it. Because defendants who are similarly situated as Mr. Clark are not walking around with a $1 million bond, or I shouldn't say walking around, similar
Sounds like you made a mistake right there.
defendants situated as Mr. Clark do not have a $1 million bond with no prior criminal history for a murder with self-defense claims.
Whoa, wait a minute now, hold on. Self-defense claims? Self-defense claim. So you telling me that your boy Clark is claiming self-defense? Self-defense from who? Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff, y'all.
So at this point, do you think there's anything else you can provide to Judge Hill to change his mind? Because you gave him what he requested, and he said he was still open today to further discussion, but what else could you provide to him?
That's the question we have. We don't know if there's anything else we can provide because everything that he has asked us for, we have provided. So I think the right thing to do is to respect his decision and move up to the higher courts.
You mentioned that this is a high-profile case. If you take TAKEOFF out of the equation, does it
If you take TAKEOFF out of the equation, he said.
remain a high-profile case?
No, it does not.
Listen to that again. Let me rewind it back. He's asking about TAKEOFF here.
If you take TAKEOFF out of the equation, does it remain a high-profile case?
No, it does not. That's the only reason it's a high-profile case.
The only reason why it's a high-profile case is because it involves TAKEOFF. But how is this a self-defense situation? TAKEOFF was not trying to harm Clark. So how is that even possible?
People are being charged with murder every day in Harris County. I get a call 2 to 3 times a week about murder cases.
So you get calls 2 to 3 times a week while you are trying to focus on your client right now? Is that what you're trying to tell us? So you're not even occupied then. So you're not even really focused on your client because you get calls every week. You get calls 3 times a week. So you're not really focused on your game plan when it comes to Clark.
In Harris County. The only one that receives this type of media attention is the one where TAKEOFF is the complainant.
Any closing comments?
I just ask that everyone keep an open mind.
An open mind? What about justice for TAKEOFF? What about that open mind? Seem like you trying to get a criminal out.
As we are going through this process, I ask that everyone remove the hype from
Remove the hype. Wow.
this case and remember that when you are charged with a crime in the United States of America, there are safeguards under our Constitution that protect you.
Why would this man be protected when the paperwork clearly says that he had a gun and he was shooting at TAKEOFF? This woman, listen, it's not making any sense, y'all. Seriously, it's not making no sense. She seems like a puppet that was put in place to do her job.
And there is a day in time where your guilt or innocence will be determined, and it's not at the level where your bond is considered. Because at this point, we believe that bond is being used as a tool of oppression and not to assure that the defendant appears in court.
Are you telling me that this attorney just said that the bond is being used as a form of oppression against Clark? That's what you're saying? Really? That's what you want us to believe? This is crazy. But anyway, let's get back to the paperwork, because we're pretty much done listening to her. We just finished talking about the paperwork and what it got to say regarding the case and everything else that we just finished seeing. Now, it says that, let me see where we at here. It goes on. It says, I forgot where we were. Let me see. Okay. I think I probably scrolled down to this particular part from up here. All right. It says, his partner. Okay. All right. So they talked about how Patrick Clark was the same person that was the one having the bottle. Okay. It says, and his partner interviewed Willie Bland, Migo Bands, who admitted to firing a weapon at the scene. Though he said he did not know the caliber of the weapon. Now notice this, ladies and gentlemen. Migo Bands is basically telling the investigators that the gun that he was firing, that he didn't know the caliber of the weapon. Now, who buys a weapon and don't even know the caliber of the weapon that they have? Who does that? So let me get this straight. So you buy a weapon, but you don't know the caliber. So how do you buy bullets for the gun? I'm just thinking out loud, y'all. That's all. How do you buy bullets for the gun if you don't know the caliber of the weapon? How do you know what kind of bullets it need? But you had bullets, right? See, again, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about thinking logical. If you think logical and you put the puzzles together the correct way, you start seeing the smoke and mirrors. You start realizing that this is a circus. It doesn't make no sense. Migo Bands is telling the investigators that he didn't know what caliber of weapon he had that he was shooting, but his gun had bullets. Now, let that make sense. How do you have a gun and you don't even know what caliber it is? If you don't know what caliber it is, how do you know what kind of bullets to buy for the gun? My goodness, man, they really think we dumb, y'all. They really think we dumb. And you know what? They got to be dumb. The investigators got to be dumb, because any man that'll tell you he don't know what caliber of weapon he have, but he's shooting, obviously he had to buy bullets, right? So that means it's either it's not his gun and it belonged to somebody else, or he's just plain dumb. So I'm going to lean more on the side of it could be a possibility that Migo Bands was given a gun to walk with that night from somebody else, and he just didn't know certain things about the weapon because it's not his weapon, but they gave him a weapon. Somebody got him a gun, bought him a gun. But see, there's no talks about this gun anymore. They totally let Migo Bands off the case. He get to go home and be good, right? So it says he didn't know the caliber of the weapon. Bland stated that he was part of the traveling group, including TAKEOFF, Quavo, and several other individuals, and stated that they were visiting local music producer Jazz Prince, which included going to a basketball game at a local gym and then going to the party at the bowling alley. Bland stated that he had seen two males we had identified as Joshua and Watkins. Again, if you've been watching and following all my streams, Joshua is pretty much Lil Cam, and Wiggins is the dude that had on the white hoodie, right? He pretty much seen them throughout the event at both the basketball game and at the bowling alley, and that he had seen them with guns. So Migo Bands is telling the investigators that he saw Lil Cam and dude with the white hoodie with guns. So basically, Migo Bands is basically ratting out these other two guys. You see how this thing is going? You see how this is? He's telling on these two guys, but he's not saying anything about Clark. Y'all got to put the puzzles together, man. He don't have nothing to say about Clark holding a gun, but he was right in front of Clark, right? So it goes on and it says that he's seen them with guns. Bland stated that he was watching them both when Quavo was arguing with them. So it's very clear that Quavo was arguing with Lil Cam and Watkins. But notice, Quavo haven't took it to social media yet to talk about who he was arguing with. You see how that works? He ain't even give a public statement about nothing yet, bruh. That's sad. So it goes on and it says, was arguing with them just before the shooting. And as Quavo turned and walked away, notice Quavo was the one who walked away. TAKEOFF never walked away. You see that? Quavo walked away and left his nephew. He left his nephew, y'all. Why? Because he knew what was going to go down. That's why he walked away. See what I mean? It says he turned and walked away. He believed. Now notice what Migo Bands is saying. He's saying he believed that Lil Cam, Joshua, said something and began pulling a gun. So he reached out and punched him. You see that? So Migo Bands is saying, hey, I punched Lil Cam in the face. So all the speculations about somebody punching somebody, it was Migo Bands punching Lil Cam. That's confirmed by the paperwork. Now it goes on and it says Bland, which is Migo Bands, advised that he thought, now listen to this, he thought that the males, what males? Lil Cam and Watkins were about to try and rob Quavo. So Migo Bands feared that Lil Cam and Watkins was going to rob Quavo. So Migo Bands wasn't thinking about protecting TAKEOFF. He wasn't watching clock. So Migo Bands stated that he then shoved the other male, which is Watkins, when he saw him coming towards him and heard gunfire erupt around him. Bland, which is Migo Bands, stated that he believed it was probably Cameron Joshua shooting at him. But at no time he's talking about clock. So he began shooting at Cameron Joshua. You see that? So Migo Bands is basically, his eye is focused on Lil Cam the whole time. He's not even thinking about clock. So how is it that you right in front of these guys, Migo Bands, and you don't see that clock is putting bullets inside of TAKEOFF's head? How you don't see that? They playing with your mind, fam. They playing games with us, bro. It goes on and it says, observed from his review of the video surveillance recording describes above that at the time the shooting appears to start, Joshua ran back into the bowling alley, right? And that he was armed with a gun. This is what they're claiming, right? But there's no video evidence showing him firing a gun. So now the investigation is saying that there's no video evidence that's showing him firing a gun. So why is it that Migo Bands is claiming that he had a gun and he was fearing for his life, fearing for Quavo, getting robbed? Why would he assume that he's going to get robbed? Was somebody trying to rob him earlier? Was somebody watching his chains earlier? Did he owe any of these guys money? Did Quavo win in the dice game and took Lil Cam and Watkins money and they said, yo, we're going to rob his chain? Like, what's really going on? And why is it that Quavo is not speaking on any of these issues, right? So now, when we put all of that stuff together and we realize the facts of the matter, right? It clearly says that there's no evidence that Lil Cam was shooting a gun. So they basically cleared his name of any involvement in taking out TAKEOFF. So it goes on and it says, from his scene investigation, that 3 gunshots were fired into the bowling alley. Believed these bullets are consistent with having been fired by Willie Bland, Migo Bands, based on his movements and position. In your opinion, these shots could not have caused the injuries to the deceased victim or the living victims due to the shooting's angle positions of the parties and the complainant's injuries. In my opinion, the video evidence supports Migo Band's statement regarding his actions before, during, and after the shooting. So they basically saying that clock, right? They're basically saying that clock shot Takeoff, the woman, and the other younger brother. Remember, there's 3 people that got shot. Up till now, we have no evidence that 2 other people got shot. All we hear is stories. There has been no news reports of anybody interviewing the other 2 people that got shot. None whatsoever. Why? Where are they and who are they? And how have they recovered from their wounds? See, there is no evidence that this even took place. Why? Because it didn't take place. It's a lie. It didn't take place. They had to make it look like 2 other people got shot so it can look like something else happened, because if it was only Takeoff that got shot, then now we would all be saying he was targeted. Put it together. You understand? I'm just letting you know, straight up and down. This is why they put the story out that 2 other people got shot, because they want to make it seem like, Takeoff got hit in the crossfire, that it wasn't really meant for him. Y'all heard all the stories, how they were saying, it wasn't really meant for him and he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Nah. He was the only one that got shot that night. The other 2 people that they claim got shot don't even exist, bro. At this point, we didn't see them. We didn't hear no news reports showing their faces. There is no evidence that can prove that 2 other people got shot besides Takeoff. None. So I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, y'all. Because if 2 other people got hit, they would be interviewed right now. We would be hearing from them. But we don't hear nothing about the other 2 people. They don't exist, y'all. It's a smoke and mirror. It's a lie designed to distract us from the real issues, man. I'm telling you, y'all got to put the pieces together. So now it goes on and it says, let me see where we at. It says something about the other victims due to the shooting angle positions of the parties and the complainant injuries. In my opinion, the video evidence supports Bland's statements regarding his actions before, during, and after the shooting. We found additional surveillance video from the streets surrounding the Green Street Center and located footage of the male, later identified as Patrick Clark, arriving in and leaving the scene in a gray Ford F-150 crew cab pickup truck. And we were able to determine from the video that the Texas license plate was blah, blah, blah. So think about how these cameras were able to capture his license plate. Cameras was able to capture the name of his truck, every single thing, right? But up to now, they didn't show us none of this footage, and they didn't show us no footage of him doing the crime. Let it make sense, y'all. Let it make sense, man. Doesn't make any sense. It's crazy stuff, man. But again, ladies and gentlemen, the way I see it and the way this story is being spun, the Takeoff case is completely closed. And there's going to be no justice, bro. I'm just calling it what it is based on what I'm seeing right now. The case is a circus at this point. The attorney is just another clown in the circus playing her position. Everybody is in hiding, waiting for things to cool down. They're just going to wait for about a good 3-4 months, 5 months, and it's going to be back to normal. Nobody's going to be talking about Takeoff. Everybody's going to get back to loving Quavo. Y'all going to be bumping Quavo's new music. It is what it is. That's what's going to eventually happen. I'm basically telling you the future before it happened. A lot of you are going to be big fans of future music that Quavo going to drop. Y'all going to be bumping the music in your car. You're not even going to be thinking about Takeoff or his justice. We're not going to hear about Clark anymore. And everything is going to get swept right under the rug because this was all a part of their plan. This is exactly what they wanted. And as much as I covered the case and with all the information I brought out, it's very evident that they're playing a game with us, fam. It is what it is. There's no other way around it. So that's all I'm going to say on this matter. Appreciate everybody joining the show. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe today so that you can be notified when I go live or upload new videos. Make sure you click the notification bell for all so that you can know when I go live, because that's very important. A lot of times people subscribe and they don't click the bell for all, and then they complain about, yo, I missed your show. I didn't see you go live. I don't know what's going on. I didn't get notified. It's because you didn't click the bell for all. So that being said, you know, if anything come up, you know what I mean, I'll let you know what's going on. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, Takeoff is not going to get no justice. It is what it is. I'm just calling it what it is because I could see the smoke and mirrors. I could see the game that's being played. They're just going to keep playing this game until you just get tired of hearing about Takeoff and Clark and mob ties and all this nonsense. And y'all going to go right back on to your normal life. And it's just going to be, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So, hey, that's all I can say, man. There's nothing else I can do about this, man. I'm not the courts. I'm not the attorneys. All I'm doing is reporting the news for you, man, so you can see what's going on. They're more concerned about this man's bail rather than the justice for Takeoff. And again, Quavo is in hiding. He still ain't saying nothing. He's not speaking, but he's hanging out with Diddy, though, right? He's hanging out with Diddy. He's hanging out with Meek Mill, right? He's out there chilling on the yacht, having a good old time, while his nephew is underground spinning in his grave, bro. It's crazy. Anyway, y'all, we're going to get up on out of here. Ringo TV reactions. It is what it is. Yeah. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you in another one. Ringo TV reactions. We out. Peace.
If you like our content, consider supporting via Cash App at $Ringo TV Raw. Become a patron on patreon.com for exclusive video content not shown on YouTube. You could also support through PayPal at paypal.me/Ringo TV Raw. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified of new content. Follow me on Instagram at Ringo TV Raw.
This is Ringo TV Reactions, the only channel on YouTube bringing you the truth 100% raw and uncut. I'm out. Peace.